Thanks, guys. We'll go questions for Coach Doege. We'll start with David.
Coach, I want to go back to that 4th and 3 play where Noah just threaded it to Javen down in the reds and all. How did you evaluate that play? What did you like about the way he was able to make that play?
I mean, obviously, two players making plays. Like, those are, two of our better players that we feel very confident about. We prepped that. We knew if we were going to get a 4th and 3 to a 4th and 4 call, that was going to be my call. So I stayed with it. We did a little motion knowing that we're going to get man to try to soften, the little orbit motion to soften the coverage a little bit just to give us a little room. And I thought Noah did a great job of putting it on his chest. And honestly, Nunu had no other choice but to catch it. But they executed it perfectly. I mean, we didn't get a ton of reps at it, when it comes to a situational play like that, because, but it was a base play that we have. It was just a little bit of flavor to it with a little motion. So we've executed that play over and over and over. And going to that, I felt very confident we were going to make that throw and that catch. So I was proud of them.
So where you mentioned the motion softens the coverage, because it looks like they basically came back to the same set, but where is that softening? How would you explain that?
Yeah, so I knew it was going to be man, and instead of just letting us, obviously sitting at the sticks, it's 4th and 3, so that if you're going to run a slant, the guy's not going to back up at all. But if you could motion a little bit just to get him off his spot a little bit, and he's got to think about, okay, what's coming now, versus just sitting there knowing I got leverage, and it protects the leverage. So maybe he was slightly inside. Well, you motion, does he get slightly head up? So now you have a little bit better advantage coming in on a slant like that. And so I felt like it, like I said, it was something we prepped through the week. I felt really strong about it. And it's, like I said, it's like kind of a day one play for us. We just put a little flavor on it to try to give us the best advantage.
Justin and Brian.
What stands out to you when you look at Iowa State's defense, especially their secondary?
That nobody's truly consistently scored or moved the football on them, right? I guess last year, what were they? The top pass defense in the country. And I can see why. When you watch the games from last year, I mean, there's a couple teams that didn't throw for over 80, and there were teams in the Big 12 that have talented players, but they do a great job of when you hand the ball off, they attack their fits. And, obviously, just like everybody's always talked about a 3-high structured defense, it looks and seems like there's a lighter box, but then all of a sudden there's 6 to 7 hats very quickly at the line of scrimmage. And so, and then when you do drop back, well, now there's 8 people dropping into coverage, and so there's not a whole lot of space there. So schematically, it's a great scheme, but a lot of people can run great schemes and not be very good at them. They're really good at what they do, and so that's one thing that I've noticed. Just watching watching the games from last year and watching the games from this year. I mean, they're very disciplined and very detailed in what they do, and they play extremely hard, and they tackle really well, and they're really good at forcing turnover. So we got to be extremely disciplined and detailed in what we do to be able to attack them.
I feel like we can ask you this every week, but Iowa State, I'm sure you probably played against them a handful of times. What do you remember about those matchups?
So my junior year, we beat Oklahoma. They were number 3 in the country at Oklahoma, and we snapped a 39-game home win streak. And, I come home, and obviously Coach Leach, Mike Leach wasn't the head coach at the time, but he called me, and he kind of ripped me. And he called me to directly tell me, basically, you need to get those guys ready because Iowa State will come into Lubbock and jump on you guys. And, that weekend was a weekend that you wouldn't forget. I mean, Snoop Dogg's calling me. I mean, everybody, and you just beat OU. So you have everybody in the world calling you and saying, hey, come hang out. And then you got everybody in the world telling you how great you are. Well, Iowa State rolls in the next week and just hammers us. I mean, just destroys us, 49-14. We didn't play very well. They weren't very good on offense, and all of a sudden they scored 49 points. They've always been good on defense. Paul Rhodes was the head coach there at the time, and he's one of my favorite guys to see after a game because he would hype you up so well. It's almost man, this guy really loves me, maybe. I really like Paul Rhodes. And then my senior year, we went there, and I threw a pick 6 early. They had two All-American linebackers. I can't remember their names, but I threw a pick 6 early, and we responded through that, ended up finding a way to win there. But I do remember this: it's a tough place to play, and you would think when you're coming in on a bus, it's where am I? It's almost I'm in the middle of nowhere. It's these cornfields almost, And then all of a sudden, it's just like everybody's ecstatic about Iowa State football. And I was pretty surprised, honestly, about as a player at least, the environment. They had it rocking. And so I expect nothing less now. Obviously that was back when they were still trying to sustain, a winning tradition, and now they're playing for championships. So it's a little bit different ball now.
Brian and Michael.
The fact that both you and Iowa State are coming off a bye, does that change anything in terms of, for you scouting them, that they've had time to extra prepare? And then also for yourself, does it give you maybe too much time to put together a game plan that you don't want to spend too much time on it?
No, I think maybe if the structure was a little different, I think it comes at the right time because it is such a unique structure on how they fit the run game. Again, like where you're going to find space in the pass game. So giving us 2 weeks, like that's an advantage for us, just to get prepared. And obviously it's an advantage for them too. I think I got to do, we've done a great job of our, a self-scout and seeing what our tendencies are to see if we can eliminate some of that. But at the same time, not get away with, from what we're good at and what we can execute at a high level. I think there's a fine line there of like trying to hide stuff, but also doing a great job of executing what you do well. And so I think it was, for us, I guess for them too, obviously they'd say the same thing. But for us, I've enjoyed having 2 weeks to prepare just because they're good at what they do. And they make it hard to figure out how you're going to move the football and how you're going to score. So I've enjoyed it. Now, our kids, and we attacked the bye week now. We practiced really hard. And I thought our guys did a great job of answering, the challenge of what we challenged them on of winning the bye. And I thought we did. Now, as coaches, those bye weeks are tough because you're prepping, then all recruiting takes another level just because you have some time, and then you're traveling. So by the time you get here on Saturday, right before Sunday to go prep again, you're like, gosh, dang, I'm exhausted. I thought bye weeks was to get fresh. Now our kids are fresh. Our coaches we got to find a way, but it was good. Like I said, I thought we attacked the bye, and it gave us, a whole nother week just to kind of look through some stuff and be very thorough in how we want to attack, this scheme.
Michael and then Troy.
I want to say that since the very first pass of the season, which maybe could have been picked off, that Noah has done a really good job of managing the game, and there haven't been many instances where you thought maybe there would be a turnover on this play. Can you just comment on how he has gone about managing the game after, I think, tying for the league lead in interceptions last year?
Yeah, here's the thing about Noah, and even as a runner, he's very elite at understanding space and being aware of people, okay? And so when you give him a plan of action and he studied that plan of action, he knows where to go with the football, but he also knows what really bad could happen if he does try to do something, outside of what the plan is. Now he's really good because he's going to prep that way. So if you don't prep him that way, now he's out there just going rogue. Well, of course, anybody that's going rogue, it's kind of a flip of the coin, whether or not you're going to turn the ball over or not. But what he's done a good job is prepping, and then, like I told you, even as a runner, he doesn't take these massive hits. Why? Because he can feel space. He can feel people, right? He understands, when he's about to take a blow and get down. He understands, a weak shoulder cut. That stuff is hard to evaluate on people, in my opinion, on, recruits, is evaluating guys' ability to understand space, rhythm, timing, and just feel in general of people. But he's got an elite skill set of that, which makes another thing that makes him special. And so I think the credit to his prep, not forcing things, not trying to be Superman, and also being very savvy in the game has led to him controlling and managing the game at a high level.
Troy and then Justin.
Do you feel like this bye week, in terms of health, that you're the healthiest you've been in the last couple of weeks going into this Iowa State game?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's the key, right? To me, that's the most important. Danny says it all the time. The freshest teams have the best advantage to win on Saturday. So, we attacked it. We got great work, but I do think our guys are feeling better. Coming off a 3-game stretch, some guys that we were missing in fall camp have gotten a chance to be in the mix now. And so we're excited about where we are as a team from a health standpoint, and I think our guys are fresh and ready to go attack. This week.
And then your thoughts on the progression that Chuba's made from the start of camp to now and being in that starting unit?
Yeah, it's a big jump because you got to understand this. Transitioning to an O-line in that short of period of time, like, yeah, he's had the spring, the summer, but he's really never been the guy. And there's so much technical, fundamental work at that O-line position and the communication, which we require our guys to have a lot because of Oglesby's kind of system, which allows us to have success versus movement, versus everything that you can be thrown at you, right? It's not as simple as as I've seen in the past, but I do think it gives you an advantage if you can get it, right, the way you rep it. So for him to come into that room and be able to pick it up, and then against K-State to play at the level that he played at was very impressive. Now, I'm not ready to crown him. I think there's still competition there with him and Mike. And then when Jordan gets back, where does that go? And so he's still got a lot to prove, but that night, Friday night against K-State, he proved that he belonged. And he helped it, and he was a major reason why we were able to run the football. So I was really proud of him.
Justin and then Jason.
What have you seen just as far as the running game, offensive line, running backs, and how important is that for this game coming up against Iowa State?
Yeah, if you wanna attack Iowa State, you better be able to run the football. And so if they can make you one-dimensional, it's gonna be tough. And so we got to be great at how we're attacking them. And then obviously you've heard Chase talk about it. Like, to me, what their MO is like how hard they play and how physical they are. I mean, they just got a tradition that, I think I've heard Coach Brennan say it, like, this is a tradition that we're striving for at the University of Arizona. Like, we want to have sustaining championship runs like they do. We want people to turn on the tape and be like, these guys play incredibly hard, and they're tough, and they're physical, they tackle well, they block well, they're efficient. And so those guys have what we want, and they do a great job. So I think, with anything, we got to continue to attack this run game. I think our running backs are playing well. Obviously, we've had some success on the ground. We got to continue that. We got to continue to find answers that give us the best advantage to give those guys some space so they can go make plays.
I don't know if you had a chance to see this. It came in the last few hours, but Jackson Dart was named the starter for the Giants.
Nice.
Just tell us about just the relationship that you have with him, working with him, and what do you think about this next opportunity for him?
I mean, he's going to crush it just because he's the ultimate competitor. He's about as confident he's not a kid anymore, confident as a dude as I've ever been around. Obviously, we have a really tight relationship. It's almost like a little brother to me. He still texts me right before the games, tells me good luck. I do the same. I just haven't looked at my phone to notice that he was going to be the starter. But like I said, I'm not surprised because of who he is. Like, he's gonna walk into a building and completely take it over by his personality. He's a very likable person. People gravitate to him. The confidence that that comes off of him, that kind of spills over to the team, and everybody just buys into who he is and what he's about. And like I said, when he comes on the field, man, he's trying to bury you, which I love. I'll give you a story. We're playing Auburn. We're playing Auburn at Ole Miss, and it's kind of one of those games, like, we're talking like how we're going to run the football because they're freaking good up front. And Jackson kind of pulls like his growing on Thursday. Well, we talk about, maybe, hey, like, we'll be all right. We'll give you some medicine. We just won't run you. On Saturday, we'll just, we'll take care of you. Well, we ended up running him like 20 times, and he ran for like 150. But it was like he didn't blink an eye. That's just who he is. Now, he wasn't 100%, but he ran for 150 and gave us a chance to win that game. That's just who he is. I mean, him and Noah are so similar. Their games are different, right? Because I think, obviously Jackson with if you saw his legs are about as thick as Quincy's, right? Like, I mean, his legs are like tree trunks. So he can sustain hits like running power read, running GT, running counter. I mean, this dude has been hit more than I've ever seen anybody get hit. He just pops back up like a running back, right? That's where he's been able to sustain and stay healthy because you can run him. But also he's an elite thrower, and he's got that, just like I talked about with Noah, he's got elite traits when it comes to awareness, space, feel, and rhythm. He sees the game the right way. And like I said, anytime you're around him, you just love the kid. So all of his teammates just freaking buy into him, and that's what I'm assuming happened at New York too.
Jason and David.
When you watch the film and look at the offensive line holding, what do you attribute it to?
The holding. Sometimes I think it's lack of fundamentals when we get tired, right? So like if you look at most of the holdings have come on the back end of drives. So I'm tempoing and we're stopping our feet. We're not setting off the ball properly. We're letting the fatigue dictate what our job responsibility is. And that's really hard, right? And so we've actually done some things through practice to eliminate, to try to put those guys in those situations. That way it's just not like, hey man, you gotta, like, it's not just a encouragement, it's not just a motivational tactic of saying, hey, here, you gotta set properly. Now I'm training him to those moments where, okay, we get in the low red, or we get in scoring position, and we do want a tempo, and we do want to throw the football, we do want to run counter. Are you going to be able to do your job while you're tired? And so that's just, to me, we got to train them the right way, continue to train them that way. And then obviously there's a mentality part to it, in my opinion, that they got to make that decision of, okay, I'm tired as hell, but I'm going to finish this thing. You know what I mean?
And then you mentioned Jordan Brown a minute ago. Without giving too much away, what would he add in his return and the type of lineman he is?
I mean, he's just a very twitchy, athletic. I mean, if he didn't play, he was a basketball player in high school. He didn't play college football until he went to a prep school, right? He wasn't, and he was kind of like a skinny basketball player. So you can see the athleticism when he comes off the ball. Now, obviously, anytime you haven't played very long, you know, like there's got to be a grace period. It's kind of like with Rhino. There's got to be a grace period for Rhino to know that he's got to get back into football shape because he didn't take those fall camp reps. Rhino didn't, right? And then we're always putting him in there, and all of a sudden that fatigue jumps on him heavy, right? It's going to be the same thing with anybody coming back. He's got to get back in football shape, but when he is fresh, he's super, super explosive. And gives us, you know, a piece inside that I think we're, you know, that explosive part we're kind of missing.
Our last two will be David and then Michael.
Seth, obviously, you played quarterback in high school. What did you see on the play when you tried to throw with him? Was it ever there for him to make that play?
No, they covered up pretty well. You know, anytime you call a trick play, it's kind of a feel thing, in my opinion. I tried to set it up a couple times. Like, obviously, playing in that set earlier in the game, we ran basically like a divide screen to him. We also ran like a flood. We actually threw it to the tight end. And then we tried to run like a bash counter out of it too. And then I was like, okay, it's time to, like, as soon as I get into scoring range, I'm going to call it. So we call it, and they covered up pretty well. I thought he had two things he could have done. One, like, it's one of those things that's I take ownership of this because it's one, like, it kind of goes back to the holding with the offensive line. We walked and talked through it. If you don't have it, throw it over his head or just run it, okay? But you never gave him that real rep. And that when people are flying at you, it's like, oh, all of a sudden panic, let me try to make a play, and he throws it. And so, like I said, I think I take accountability for that, just trying to eliminate a negative play when it wasn't there. Does he make an unbelievable throw and give Kean a chance? Sure. But he also he's not here to play quarterback, you know. And so, like I said, we took a shot, and it didn't work out.
And then with Marty, that dump down on the third down play, and he just exploded into the hole. What's special about his ability? Because we've seen him be able to do that on a number of occasions.
Yeah, he's a super explosive player. And when he sees space, that's the thing about him that I love, is when he sees space, there's no dance. It's like violently trying to attack the space to go get what I can. And that was just another example of it. To be honest with you, I thought Noah should have gone we had a post curl open on that play that would have got us, 2 or 3 yards from the sticks as he caught it. And he ended up checking it down to Marty, and Marty went and found it for us. So that's just a special player using his tools and his gifts to go be himself. Now, on top of that, he's bought in. Like, he's bought into choosing violence. He's bought into protecting the football. He's bought into it being about us and the red line that we're preaching. So there's no, like, during camp, he was probably playing at the highest level, and then he had a little setback, and it took him a minute to get going, but now he's back going. So I'm super proud of him. I'm excited to see, as it progresses, and he's a great player for us.
Mike Gundy was let go this morning by Oklahoma State. I assume you played against him, or either as a player or as a coach. Just your thoughts on what he's contributed to the Big 12, and if you have any good stories about him.
No, I've gotten to meet him a couple times, obviously at media days when I was a player, and then he spoke at a coach's clinic at USC when I worked there. But I've always admired him because he's unapologetically himself, and that's what I admire about him. It's like Mike Gundy's going to be Mike Gundy, regardless of the circumstance, regardless of the situation, regardless of the arena. And so, obviously, he's done big-time things at Oklahoma State. I mean, when we played them, they were hard to beat. They were throwing the ball all over the place. And so I think he's got a lot to be proud of on the history and the tradition that he's built at Oklahoma State. Obviously, you hate to see something like that happen to a guy that's built a place up. But we also, as coaches, we understand this business, and we understand that, it's about winning and winning all the time. And so you just he knows that too. And so I hate that for him. Obviously, my focus is more on beating Iowa State.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Seth.
Yeah, appreciate you guys.